Hi, Tyler, and welcome to our podcast. It's really great to have you here with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
So, could you start by introducing yourself and tell us a bit about who you are and what you do for the people who are listening and maybe don't know who you are?
My name is Tyler Cavanaugh. I'm from Syracuse, New York, and I am a professional basketball player. And this is my second season in Europe after 2 seasons in the NBA and the G League. Last season I was in Berlin playing for Alba Berlin, and this year I'm in Tenerife playing for Iberostar Tenerife in Spain.
Perfect. So when did you first start playing basketball and why?
I started playing, I think the first ball I had was when I was like 3 years old. So I grew up in a family that was all about basketball, whether it was my parents, my cousins. I was always in the gym going to games because my cousins were older. And I was just always around the game. I had a little hoop and a ball when I was 3, so that's how I really fell in love with it. And both of my parents played in college, and my dad played professionally for 1 year, so I kind of had it in my blood.
Okay, and did you play other sport as well, or it was just like basketball and that's all?
Growing up, I played soccer, lacrosse. I still play golf. I love to play golf, but I stopped playing soccer and lacrosse by the time I got to high school, so like ninth grade, and then just focused on basketball.
Okay, sounds good. And when did you know you wanted to become like professional basketball player? Like, did you know like straight away, or did it come like later in high school or college?
Yeah, obviously as a kid, especially growing up in America, you always dream of playing in the NBA if you love to play basketball. So from an early age, I had that dream and that hope to one day play professionally. But as I continued to grow in my game and get older in high school and then getting a Division I scholarship, then I started to realize I have a chance to play pro, whether that's in Europe or in the G League or in the NBA. I didn't know, but as I continued to develop and work on my game and get better, I started to realize more and more that I had a chance to play at a very high level.
Awesome. So it came like later with the time and the playing.
Yes.
Of course. So in high school, you had a successful basketball career, winning 3 state championships with your school. And then you went on to college. Was it always a dream of yours to go to college and play basketball?
Yes. Yeah, it was growing up in Syracuse, New York. It's a it's a college town, as people in the States would say. Syracuse, I grew up 5 minutes from the university, and basketball and football are very huge there. So I always had the dream of playing college basketball, and I was fortunate enough to go to Wake Forest and get an opportunity to play there and in one of the best conferences in the NCAA, and it was a great opportunity.
Yeah, for sure. In the SSE conference. I hear in another podcast that you say you had around 30 college offers, and like you say, you choose to go to Wake Forest for 2 years, and then you transfer to George Washington University. What were those college years like for you? Like, how did they impact you both as a player but also as a person?
Well, deciding to go to Wake Forest in North Carolina, it was pretty far away from home, so my mom didn't like that, but we got over it, but it was great. I loved Wake Forest. North Carolina it was beautiful weather. Wake Forest was a great campus, great academics, and it was an opportunity, like we talked about, to play in the ACC. And my first 2 years, we lost a lot of games because we were in a very tough conference, and unfortunately, my coach got fired, so that started the transfer process in my mind. But I really enjoyed my time at Wake Forest, and then I was able to improve and grow as a player and as a person. But when coach got fired and I decided I was going to transfer, then ultimately decided to go to George Washington, I was very excited, and that turned out to be one of the best decisions of my life.
For sure. And also we know that there is a lot of distraction sometimes in college, like hanging out with friends, party. Is that something that you ever felt like you were missing out on being an athlete, or did you manage to balance between the academic, the sport, but also like the parties and the fun?
Yeah, I think that is obviously one of the challenges as an athlete, but it's also one of the benefits, because you go into college and you automatically have your group of friends because you're on a part of a team, and you're always around these guys, whether you make you really enjoy being around one person on the team, or you're friends with everyone. You immediately have people you can hang out with and go get food and go to parties and whatnot. But as an athlete, it really helped me to manage my time well in college, because I feel like some normal students can, when they go off to college and they're away from their parents for the first time, they can get a little crazy. But with sports and being a basketball player, I always had practice, I always had study hall, I had to do this, and then of course there was also time to hang out with friends and whatnot. But I really enjoyed being a college athlete. It was 5. I took an extra year, 5 of the best years of my life.
Okay, that's great. So you never felt like you were missing out on something because you were playing basketball?
Not really, just because I loved playing, but definitely you had to make sacrifices. Like, you couldn't go out the night before a game, and if there was like a huge event going on or something, but you definitely have to make sacrifices, but it was all worth it to me.
For sure, especially looking at it right now and the career that you're having. So after college, you went on to play professionally in the US in 2017, first in Atlanta and then in Utah. I understand that it was a bit of a roller coaster for you, playing both in the G League but also in the NBA. Can you tell us a bit more about this time of a career and how it was like for you to deal with all of this?
Yeah, it was crazy, because coming out of GW, I was fortunate to play with some great players there, and we had some success, and then I had some opportunities after the season ended to showcase my skills in some all-star games and certain things, and I was fortunate enough to have a bunch of NBA workouts and then go on to, like you said, go to training camp with Atlanta, and then I got cut by the Hawks, and I went to play with their G League team, but they had a bunch of injuries to the big men of the Atlanta Hawks, so they brought me back after just one G League game, and I was playing because they had all these injuries, just a little bit here and there, and then I was about to go back down to the G League, but the night before we had one game in New Orleans, and Coach put me in more than I had anticipated, and I played really well. I made some shots, and then I stuck around in Atlanta for longer, and they ended up giving me a contract for that year. And it was just an unbelievable experience, and being able to play out my dream and realize my dream of playing in the NBA was really cool. But going up and down to the G League and the NBA was difficult, and I had an injury, but it was, all in all, it was a very fortunate situation. And then I was able to go to Utah and play for a really good organization, which was in a different time frame. They were a playoff team, and Atlanta was like a rebuilding team. So I didn't get as much opportunity in the NBA, but I really got to work on my game in the G League, and I really improved.
For sure. Awesome. And how did you deal with the uncertainty of not necessarily knowing where you were going to play, whether it was like with the G League and then the NBA, but also being prepared for whenever you actually got the chance to step on the floor and play on the NBA?
Yeah, and those 2 years, felt like I just always had to have a bag packed, ready to go in case I'd get called or have to go here or there. It's tough because it's a lot of uncertainty, and if you let your mind wonder where you're going to be here, and it can cause problems. But being able to stay in the moment I think was very important because, like I said, I was having the opportunity to live out my dream. And obviously being in Atlanta, it was harder because the G League team was in Erie, Pennsylvania. So it was always a flight to get to a G League game. But when I was in Utah and Salt Lake City, the G League team was right there as well. So I could drive to practice with the G League and then later that night go be with the NBA team for a game if they needed me. So it's a different mindset, but it was a really cool experience to have.
Okay. So because it was like a dream for you, like it was not a problem to do like all of this and the travel and back and forth.
Exactly. And I mean, the travel in the NBA is not like travel for normal people. It's very luxurious and everything. But going back and forth, the hardest was my time in Atlanta when I would have to fly to Erie because there was no direct flights, and back and forth. Like you could go to Erie and back to Atlanta twice in 1 week, and it was challenging. But as you said, it was all a great opportunity.
Yes, that's exactly what I wanted to say. Regardless maybe the up and down that you might had, you still got to play 39 games in the NBA with the Hawks and then 11 games with Utah Jazz. So it must have been like a really cool experience. And like, how was it for you when you really got to play your first minute into NBA?
Crazy. I mean, it was, in the moment, you don't realize it because it's just basketball and you're playing and you're really focused on what's going on in the game. And my first possession in the NBA, I ran down on offense and I catch the ball and I look who's defending me, and LeBron's defending me because we were playing Cleveland. So that was very surreal for me and just crazy. But now looking back on that, since I'm a little bit removed from the situation, it's just was an unbelievable opportunity and accomplishment for me that early in my career, and it's something I'll never forget.
For sure, it's like a memory that you will always get with you, no matter when you stop playing and no matter what happened to you. Yeah, that's amazing. So, what would you say were the biggest takeaway from your time playing professional in the US? And in what way did you grow and did you boost your motivation to keep working and keep playing?
The biggest takeaway on the court was just how many talented basketball players there are in the world. There's so many talented players, and being able to play at the highest level and realize how close you are to maybe having a more solidified spot on a team and how close you are to not having a job in the NBA at all. And it's such a fine line, and that's what makes those guys who stay in the NBA and play for a long time so special, because it's so difficult to stay there. But something off the court that I took away, because growing up and then in college, you really play for the love of the game and the passion. It's all about basketball. But once you get to the professional, the NBA, and now in Europe, it's all business at the end of the day. So realizing that obviously I love to play this game and that's what I want to do, and I'm grateful that I can do that. At the end of the day, it's a business, and that's how you have to kind of change your mindset when decisions are made and what happens. So those are two of the things I took away from it.
Okay. So you will say that's the biggest difference from playing college and then playing professional?
Off the court, yes, understanding that it's a business is a huge difference, and then on the court, it's a completely different game, and especially playing in America and then in Europe, it's two completely different games as well. So a lot of growth and change on the court between the different levels.
Sounds good. So after the time in Utah, you went to move to Europe, where you played in like Alba Berlin last year, in Germany. So first of all, like, why did you choose to go to Europe, and what was it like for you moving from the US for the first time of your life and going to Europe?
My agent and I discussed it, and we just felt like it was time for me to take that next step and go to Europe. And because if you play in the G League and get a couple opportunities in the NBA. And if you stay there for too long, I felt personally that you can get lost in the shuffle. You know, you only have a certain time to really continue to elevate your career. And we just felt like it was the perfect time to go to Europe. And obviously, to go to a club like Alba Berlin in the EuroLeague was a phenomenal opportunity. And we jumped on that very quickly. But off the court, I mean, it was my first time in Europe. I had never been to Europe. And then at the end of last season, when my wife and I were heading home, I was looking at my passport. I was like, wow, I was in 11 countries this year. That was crazy.
That's crazy.
But we were very fortunate that in Berlin, a lot of people speak English. So it was kind of an easy transition for us, easier. And living in Berlin, I'm assuming you've been there. It's just a huge city. And
I haven't actually.
You haven't?
No.
You have to go. You have to go. It's just, there's so much going on. And we met in school at George Washington, which is in Washington, D.C. Yeah. So we love being in the city. And it was a really cool first experience in Europe.
Okay. And I also understand that your dad played overseas. Was it something that impacted your decision to leave as well, or not at all?
Not really. I mean, he only played 1 year in London and then stopped and got injured and went back home and started working. But obviously him doing it, we had some conversations, but it was also just, I feel like, the next step in the trajectory of my career.
Okay. And so you talked about a bit of the transition, how Berlin was like a bit like Washington, so it was not too hard. Like, did you try to learn a bit of German, or like how was it with the club? Like, is everything, like the coaches and stuff, everyone was speaking in English?
Yes, so with the club we had Spanish coaches and a Spanish GM, so there was actually a lot of Spanish being spoken, but everyone spoke English, so it was very nice because the coaches always spoke in English, and that made it easier. But I did take a few German classes. German is a very hard language.
Yeah, sure.
It's very difficult, but we tried a little bit. We can know certain phrases, but not much at all. And so we were thankful that we were in Berlin.
Sure. And in 1 year also, it's tough to really learn the full language, for sure.
Yes, yes, for sure.
So now you're still in Europe, but since this summer you moved to like Spain and like the island of Tenerife. You're obviously still in the middle of your career over here in Europe, but so far, like, what would you say that moving here has impacted you as a player, but also as a person?
First, as a player, just the European game is much different than the American game, and just how tactical it is and how intelligent coaches and players are in Europe, and how good the brand of basketball is. And in my opinion, the best basketball, if you really love basketball, the best basketball to watch is the EuroLeague, because the way teams play and how coaches coach these teams, it's just incredible, the attention to detail and all that. So that's been a huge adjustment for me, and how every game is so important in Europe, because in the NBA and in the G League, you can lose a couple and still be fine, but every game is so meaningful. So that has been awesome to experience again, because that's more like college a little bit. But also as a person being in Europe, it just opened my eyes to so many different things, you know. Living in America, you can be very sheltered, you know, that's all you know. But coming over here and seeing how people live in Germany and Berlin, in a big city, and now on the island of Tenerife, it's so different, but it's really cool. And trying to implement myself in the culture a little bit here and there. I mean, I know more Spanish than I did German, so it makes it a little bit easier, but I still don't know much. I'm trying to learn more, but it's been great, and it's enhanced, and I'm growing as a person as much as I am as a player.
So you're glad you took that decision to move to Europe and play basketball here?
Yes, obviously it's hard being this far away from family
Sure.
and friends and whatnot, but I think it's something I'll always remember for the rest of my life, and it's been a phenomenal opportunity.
For sure. And then you will never like regret, oh, what if I would have gone to Europe? Like you will never
Exactly.
be able to ask yourself that question. So looking up at like your career up to this point, if you could pick one favorite moment, what will it be?
Oof, that's hard. That's a hard question. A favorite moment?
Or a few if it's difficult to pick one.
One in college was when I was at George Washington when we won the NIT tournament. It's obviously right below the NCAA tournament, and the first game is difficult in the tournament because some guys don't want to play in that tournament, and we were close to the NCAAs, but being able to win that and be the first team in school history to win a postseason tournament was huge for George Washington, and that's something that sticks with me forever. But also having the opportunity to play in the NBA and signing an NBA contract was really a dream come true for me, and that was a very special moment for myself and my loved ones. So those two stick out.
Yeah, yeah, they are pretty good ones. So
Thank you.
So also like through your career, you also had to face like difficult challenges. So if you could pick as well like one difficult moment that you had, and how did you like overcome it?
I'll do two. So the first one was in college. Deciding to transfer was a very difficult decision for me because obviously you have to sit out a season, and I loved Wake Forest, but I knew I wanted more out of my college experience, and I was very fortunate because I don't know if I would say most, but a good percentage of people that transfer, they don't have a better experience at the second school. So I was able to be one of the fortunate ones, and having to sit out a whole season was difficult, but it really allowed me to work on my game and be ready for when I was able to play. But another difficulty in my career is I've had two pretty big ankle sprains, and one was when I was in Atlanta, and another one was last year with Alba Berlin, and they affected how both of those seasons went, and just learning how to control what I can control and let my agent take care of the business side, and just really focus on healing and getting better. But obviously you're going to have obstacles and bumps in the road, and things come up, but those injuries were difficult, but it's helped me grow and become the person I am today.
Okay, amazing. And did you ever like consider giving up on basketball and just be like, you know what, I'm just gonna do something else and I'm done with the ball?
Not yet, really. Last year, being away and being injured, there were some times where I was just like, maybe I don't know how much longer I want to do this. Just it was a difficult season for me on the court too, but no, I love the game. This is a huge part of my life, and I'm very grateful to be able to play a game for a living.
So, because you obviously like a successful basketball player, being able to play professional, and even last year, even if you had a tough season, maybe personally, you were able to win like trophies with Alba Berlin. What does success mean to you? Is that like the title that you won? Is it like the number of points that you score, or is it more like the living, be able to live out of it, the traveling, exploring new places?
You got all the good questions today. I like it. I think success to me is a combination of everything. Like you said, even though last year may have been difficult for me personally, but I was able to be on a team that won 2 titles in my first season in Europe. So that was an unbelievable experience. So I think success as a player comes down to winning. I mean, obviously you want to be an important part of winning and have a role on the team and be a consistent player for them. but also I think winning and just enjoying each step along the way. And because in order to have success, you're going to have to face difficulties and challenges and obstacles along the way. So continuing to fight through that and be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel and experience all the great moments, that's what success is to me.
Okay. So it's like a combination of everything, basically.
Everything, yes.
A bit of everything. That's cool. So growing up, like, who would you say was like the biggest like motivation or inspiration for you? Was it like a basketball player, or was it somebody else?
My parents, very close family that I grew up in, and they really just allowed me to fall in love with the game on my own, not necessarily making me practice every day or do this, or they allowed me to become self-motivated, and I think that's helped me throughout my whole career. And I'm just so thankful for the way they raised me and the example they set for me and my sisters, and through hard work and determination, and anything is possible, and believing in yourself, and I think my parents are the people that have motivated me the most.
Awesome. And now, in what way would you say that your approach to basketball has changed over the year?
I think it's just changed as I still love to play, and that's the thing that you need to, as a professional, you can lose track of that, so continuing to love to play the game and work the same way as you worked when you were a little kid growing up and trying to make it to the next team or the next level. But the thing that changed is just really understanding that it's a business and this is my career and I love to play, but some things are out of my control, and just really focusing on what I can control on the court.
For sure. So you talked a bit about like the mindset and the mental part of the game, but how important would you say that having the right mindset is important in the game of basketball?
So important. I mean, that's something that I've not struggled with, but continued to improve throughout my whole career, even from high school and everything, and especially now these last couple of years as a pro. It's just something that everyone in life has to deal with, their mental toughness and their mental strength, because like we talked about, obstacles come up, whether you're working a desk job or you're playing basketball or you're a fisherman or what, but continuing to trust yourself, to live in the moment, and when things aren't going well, to remain calm and just really trust in your abilities. Those are things that have really helped me, and I'm continuing to learn more and more each day about mental toughness, whether that's reading, talking to people, and that's very important to me and my success in my career.
For sure. And I know that some professionals have actually like mental coach or psychologist that they talk to. Is it your case? Like, have you been working with different mental coach or?
Yes, I met a mental coach. Not a psychologist, but a mental training coach when I was in Utah, and I've been working with him ever since. Graham Betchart. He's unbelievable, and we talk on the phone, call him up whenever I need to. It could be 3 times a month, it could be once a month, and we catch up. And I feel like therapists, mental coaches are just so smart and so incredibly impactful for me, but also for anyone, to just the way they can see things and change your perspective and allow you to view things in a way that makes you trust yourself and remain calm is huge, and that's been something that's been big for me. So shout out to Graham.
Okay. So you will advise anyone that listening to maybe have those conversations with mental coach to help them no matter what they're doing in life.
Yeah, and even if you don't have access to a mental coach, just talking to someone, because everyone's going through something, and I feel like keeping it in is it lessens your ability to get over it faster, and it doesn't allow you to move on to things quickly. In basketball, it's always focusing on the next play, whether you made a three or you missed or you turned the ball over, and moving from one thing to the next, and that relates to life. So I think it's important for anyone to seek out someone who can help them if they are struggling. Absolutely.
For sure. That's cool. And playing like basketball since you were like 3 years old, you say, what impact would you say that the sport has in your life? Like, what have you learned from the sport?
A lot. I mean, I've learned a lot of life lessons through basketball and through all the different coaches I've been able to be around, all the teammates, and just being able to learn to work as a team and work as a group. And I think that's the coolest thing about basketball, is winning as a team and being able to overcome losses and deficits in certain situations. But when your team can function at a high level all together, I think that's one of the most important things to understand. I mean, as an athlete, that can translate over into the workplace once you're done playing, if you want to be whatever you want to do. And so I think teamwork is a huge thing that I've learned throughout my career playing basketball.
For sure. And so you will advise like anyone to play basketball or play any sport?
Yeah, any sport. I mean, I just think being involved, maybe it's not a sport, maybe it's a math team or certain different things that you can be a part of where you're a part of a group. I mean, I just think having those skills to not always work by yourself, but work as something bigger than yourself, as a team, that's really cool. And that's something that has changed my life, and I think will be a benefit for me when the ball does stop bouncing.
Okay. So, having been professional for 4 years now, do you see yourself as like a role model who can inspire kids to play sport or just basketball?
I like to think that, yes. I mean, I don't know to who. You never know who you can impact as a professional athlete, how big, how small, what you do. But I think carrying yourself in the right way on and off the court, because I remember when I was a young kid, I was very impressionable, like even just looking up to kids in high school who were older than me, like, oh my gosh, I want to be like him. That's unbelievable. And then college players and then pros. So yes, I do think that's not an obligation, but a responsibility of a pro athlete is to be a good role model. And I think, I hope that I am doing that, and just continue to let kids know that they can achieve whatever they want to achieve, that they put their mind to, and to dream big and go for it. And I think that's really important.
For sure. It's really cool. I like it too. So right now you playing in Spain, and you had to deal like all of us with that weird year with the coronavirus and everything. But how has this time been for you, and how everything is going with the season in Spain so far?
Well, obviously it's a very weird experience. Playing without fans is very weird. Playing in empty gyms is just interesting feeling, and hopefully we can have the public back in games soon. But obviously this virus is making everyone change their lives, and hopefully with the vaccines and everything, life can slowly start getting back to normal. But I'm just grateful that I have a job and I have the opportunity to still play, and the leagues have made it work where they can broadcast the games on television, and that allows us to play even though fans can't come. So I think this whole virus has just really made me more thankful and grateful for the things that I do have and the ability to still play the game that I love.
Okay. That's cool. And you talked a bit about like the fact that the fans are not allowed to the game. Like, would you say that you really miss that impact that fan can have, especially maybe playing home?
Yes, playing home. On the road, not so. No, I mean, there's just a different energy in arenas when fans are there, and you can feed off the crowd, especially at home. And I definitely miss playing in front of fans, as every basketball player, I think, would tell you. So it's a huge change, and hopefully we can be back to full arenas soon.
Yeah. Hopefully 2021 will be better, yeah.
Yes, hopefully.
So looking at the future, what are your goals, like personally, like both in the short term, but maybe in the long term as well? Like, is it still something in your head that you want to go back playing NBA or in the US, or are you just looking to continue to play here in Europe?
I would love to have the opportunity to go back and play in the NBA, but if that opportunity never comes, I think I'll be fine, and hopefully I can continue to grow my career here in Europe, because you can play for a while and make a good living and really be able to set up your family to in the future financially, and obviously still be able to play the game that you love and travel over Europe. But I think my goals are just to continue to play, and as long as I can, and as long as I feel that I want to, and I have that motivation, and whether that's in Europe or in America, it doesn't. Obviously, I'd love to be home, but it doesn't matter to me. I just want to continue to play.
Okay, so you're just taking year by year and then see what comes.
Exactly, because things change so quickly in this business and everything. So just really taking it day by day, season by season, and year by year is how you got to do it.
Yeah. And then on top of that, sometimes you have a international worldwide pandemic. So of course, like
yeah, that'll change everything.
For sure. So we talked a lot about basketball, but when you have some free time, what is something that you like to do as well?
I love to play golf, and I'm very fortunate that living here in Tenerife, I can play year round. It's just a 30 to 40 minute drive down to the south, and there's a bunch of golf courses down there. So that's one thing, but also hanging out with my wife and relaxing, watching TV, going out to eat, just little things like that are things I love to do to relax.
Did you have time to visit a bit Tenerife and check out like some cool place that they have over there?
A little bit so far. We've been up to I'm gonna pronounce it wrong. Mount Teide. It's the highest peak in Spain is on the island, so we got to do that. And La Laguna is a very cool city, and we live in Santa Cruz, so we've been able to explore a bit, but there's always more things to explore, and that was one of my goals for this year, is to explore where I am more than I have in the past. So I'm working on it.
Okay, that's cool. And what is the last thing that you watch or read? It could be a movie, a show, a book, that you felt like inspired by.
Oof. I don't know, but I watch a lot of stuff. The most recent thing is probably, there's a Netflix documentary about coaches, More Than a Game or something. I think it's like 5 different coaches, and each of them had their own stories. Doc Rivers, Jose Mourinho, the USA, I forget her name, women's soccer coach, but that was very inspiring to me as an athlete, just because to see how hard these coaches work and how important it is to them to see their players succeed, especially the individual coaches. Serena Williams is tennis coach, and that was very inspirational for me.
Yeah, we actually like watch it as well, and we started just watching one episode, and then we end up watching like all of the episodes in a row. So yeah, we thought it was pretty good as well.
Yeah. Yes, it was very cool.
So my last question for you, this podcast is about sharing professional athlete unique story to show that everyone's journey is different. So if you could give me one piece of advice to people who are listening or have big dreams but don't know how to reach them, what would it be?
I would say, just like I said earlier, dream big, and don't let anyone tell you you can't do anything, and work hard every day and to really pursue your passion, and know that sometimes there's going to be a lot of obstacles in your way, but never lose faith in yourself and your abilities and whatever that may be, and just continue to fight on, and good things happen to good people. I'm a very strong believer in that.
Amazing. So if people like that are listening, they want to keep following you or follow your journey, where is the best place to do? Is that Instagram?
Oh, I'm not very good on social media, which I need to be better. But yes, my Instagram and Twitter handles are TyCav34, and hopefully I'll get a little better. My younger sister is always on me about posting more, but that's probably the best place to follow my journey, and for sure.
Okay, perfect. So we will put everything in the description anyway, so people, if they want to check your Instagram, they can. So thank you so much for coming, Tyler. We really appreciate you sharing all of this advice and the story, a bit of your career. So we look forward to following you and wish you the best here in Spain.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure, and it was a really good time. So thanks again.